Hello everyone, Sergey here, and this is the first ever episode of Reposition Live. To be honest, I have no clue what Reposition Live is. It's just the idea I was pondering upon for quite some time. I just really like sharing with you guys my thoughts. I really like this live format. So I thought, why not to make it a show? Like late Kimmel live and stuff like that. So hopefully it will be more or less regular. I aim for once a week. And what we will be discussing here, I have a few segments to the show. One would be around the positioning framework that I'm working on. I will be sharing with you the latest developments. If anyone was able to include it in their businesses. The second part of the show would be called No Idea Startup, and that is also the project that I'm working on. Basically, I realized, okay, I have this great positioning framework. I still kind of feel it's a bit raw to be implemented with in the coaching setup. So I decided, okay, let me just try it on some guinea pig. Basically, let me partner with the business and reposition them. So more details on that later in this live. So I hope you guys have been doing well. We're in Dubai here, kind of coming back to normal life little by little. But still, of course, a lot of areas are impacted. For example, my kids are still at home with me, which I can't do much about. With no further ado, let's move into the first segment of the show, which is called Finding Your Business Aim. And you should see a nice sticker down below. I use this great platform called StreamYard. It lets you do this cool stuff with not much thought to it. Finding your business aim. So if you've been following me for some time, you know that AIM is the framework that I am working on for positioning your business, and AIM is an acronym. And recently, I took a number of students through the pilot program. And while I was taking them through it, I realized that the model was a bit raw still and required some tweaking. And that's what I did actually. I tweaked it here and there with the help of the real live cases. So I want to share with you quickly the updates to the AIM framework, and also I will then give you an example how this looks in real life. So let me share my screen with you. Let me make it bigger. So you should see my screen, and this is our positioning AIM framework. Just kind of a very quick explanation. I don't want to make it a lesson here. But basically, the AIM framework consists of three circles, and three circles, that's what defines your positioning. Where our first circle, I will start with the move circle. So move is actually your product. It's the motion that your product enables your customers to achieve. Then this move is kind of that's our starting point. Well, your product can't really serve everyone out there. So that's why I'm sure you already heard a number of times the concept of the ideal client. And ideal client is basically the person or the organization that can benefit from your product or move, in our case, the most. So there is no magic to that phrase, ideal client. You really should not overcomplicate it. It's just you take your product and you describe the person who will benefit the most from it. Now, the most important part that I changed my mind around in the recent couple of weeks is the audience part. So initially, the audience was kind of a broader market you're part of when it comes to the ideal client and your product. So basically, because in a lot of cases when I see people talking about the ideal client concept, they feel that it kind of limits them. So they say, hey, we are just for organizations that are 100 to 200 people. And they then go and search for clients in the places where indeed it's really hard to find any traction, because the definition of their ideal client is so narrow, which is great. However, they forget about the bigger picture, and the audience bit is what makes your positioning come to life, because you have to position yourself within the market. And if you focus on your ideal client, you really limit your move. That's why your audience is kind of defined as the benefit that your product is giving to your ideal customer. I will give you a couple of examples. So, for example, if your product is the fitness coaching, then your ideal client would be someone who is looking for a fitness coach, right? It's a simplified way. However, if you're just selling it in this super simplified two-dimensional way, it really kind of doesn't differentiate yourself in any way, and also limits your move. So where you will go to find clients, to kind of already oversaturated places where everyone else is looking. That's why with the help of the audience bit, we are kind of craving this, carving out this unique portion of the market. So here you can see point A. And in case of the fitness coach, you can think what people want to achieve by hiring a fitness coach, and there are number of things people want to achieve. Some are into weight loss, so then your audience is the weight loss audience. Some are in the muscle gain, for example, and so on and so forth. Some are not there for the fitness goals at all. They just want the mental benefit of working out regularly. So your audience actually creates your differentiation. And then you have the audience, let's say the fat loss market, which is gigantic. And then your ideal client. So considering the things that you have in your product, who are at the perfect stage to benefit the most from your offering. And then you can see here's two dots. One is point A and another one is point B. And these are the most important parts, because point A in your ideal client profile is where they are now. That's how you can communicate to help to self-identify them. But then the point B is actually the journey or the improvement that your product is offering to your customers. So this kind of motion creates your unique differentiation when it comes to positioning. And I will just give you one example. And this is a book example. I'm sure you guys are bookworms just as I am. We have two books here, and from the outset, you probably know the 4-Hour Work Week. I'm sure you do. Maybe you even read it. And then the outsourcing guide, or it's called Outsourcing All You Need to Know. So you might be asking, okay, why these books are even together? They should not be. Kind of they're from completely different fields. Well, you will be surprised, but they're actually kind of serving the very same purpose. Because if you look at the 4-Hour Work Week, at the essence of it, if you read it again, it's the book about outsourcing. However, it's a very well positioned book about the outsourcing. And the thing you see on the right is outsourcing for everyone who wants to learn about outsourcing type of thing. So if we apply the AIM framework, so you can see that all three circles are identical. So basically the product is all about the outsourcing. The audience is outsourcing audience, so people who are looking for outsourcing tips or whatever. Ideal clients are customers who are looking for outsourcing knowledge, and then basically their journey from point A to point B is, okay, I was not aware about outsourcing and now I am aware. Well, this is very kind of simplified, of course, way of explaining it. But I mean, you see even from the book cover that there is no differentiation built in whatsoever. And actually, if you go on, the funniest thing is if you go to Amazon and you type in outsourcing, this book will be the top one suggestion or maybe a top two suggestion. So, I mean, when it comes to the outsourcing market, this book is positioned really well. However, you will see that no one read this book. I think it has like 7 reviews or something. So basically, people who are willingly go out there and look for outsourcing information are very limited. Now, when it comes to 4-hour work week, again, I think no one will doubt that this book is a bestseller. I read it; it's a very nice book. And if we look at their position, and so okay, they still have the positioning as the core of the outsourcing as the core of their offering. So that's really the product that is all about. However, the audience is completely different. So this book is not waiting for someone to wake up and think, hey, I need outsourcing advice, so can you please give it to me? They proactively go into the self-help enthusiast market. So people who are proactively looking for solutions, who are bookworms and who kind of start another self-help book once they finish the previous one. And then within that market, their ideal customers is kind of along the entrepreneurial lines. So I would say it's burned out entrepreneurs who really want to kind of, as they say, escape 9 to 5. I mean, whether you're working for someone or if you're working for your business 9 to 5. And their journey from A to B is from burned out to stress-free life. And actually, if you look at this book, and actually I have it here. If you look at the book, the outsourcing line is very down below. It's the final statement of the selling point of this book. So how? Let me just make my screen. So here, how to outsource your life and do whatever you want. So basically, outsourcing is mentioned there, but at the very end of it. Hi, Leana. Hey, guys. Yeah, feel free to comment at any point of time. At the end, we will have a quick Q&A session. If you have any questions on what I'm covering here. So that's... Let me just quickly remind you. So that's really why the positioning is important, and with the really simple tweaks, you can make the positioning. That's why I actually call this live reposition, because I'm sure all of you have business or an idea and you thought about it from one angle or another, but you can really take the same product and reposition it into a different market and have completely different outcome. Because again, these two books could have been the same. So this author of the outsourcing guide, All You Need to Know, could really think a few minutes more about who can benefit the most out of his solution, and just position him or herself in that market. And I'm sure the book is good. I'm not doubting that the book is good. I'm also not saying that author is not good or not. I'm sure maybe they just needed this book to gift to their clients, and they have multi-million-dollar contracts, so they didn't really need to sell this book that much. But I'm sure you guys agree that it's better to have your positioning on point right away. So again, let me go back to the previous slide. Your positioning comes to life when these three circles are separate from each other. in case of our examples, the outsourcing book is really just one circle. Is outsourcing book for people who are looking for outsourcing, and the best clients for it would be people who want to learn about the outsourcing, which should not be the case for us. So our best positioning comes to life when these three circles are so differentiated that this point A becomes so small and so tight that we can go into the market and just kind of say, hey, I have the outsourcing book for entrepreneurs, and everyone runs to you. So that was the first segment of the show. So let me hide the ticker, which was called Finding Your Aim. And now we are moving to the second part of the show, Reposition Life, episode 1. But before we move there, what do you guys think? Just let me know in the comments. Is the format working at all, or is it too much for this? And while your comments are rolling in, we will move into the next one. No idea startup. No idea startup. So what was the idea behind the no idea startup segment? As I told you before, I realized that, okay, I came up with this positioning framework, and I'm really confident that it's the next big thing once I have enough proof points. My final destination there is to write a book there and have it on the bookshelves of the stores, so people will benefit all over the world. But before I'll get there, of course, I need to make sure that this framework works. Can framework work, or is it because of its framework, it by default it works? Good question. I think framework should work by default, right? So I want to create a framework that is universal for everyone to use. And the idea behind the no idea startup is that I have no idea what company to start using this framework. So that's why we start from the clear slate. And basically, throughout these episodes, I will be sharing with you kind of the logic behind if we take a business, an existing business, and apply the AIM framework to it to reposition their services, whether we can see any success there or not. So that's the very basic idea. Ideally, there are certain, of course, certain criteria that I want this business to fulfill in order for me. So this would be interesting for me to partner with this business. One of those criteria is, of course, it should be online. I think that's with all the happenings that we experienced over the last few weeks. We can all agree that online should be a part of the successful business in one form or another. So I came up actually with a list of businesses that would be, I think, the most exciting to try it out. Like how I came up with this list, it's pretty simple. So over the last few weeks, while we are kind of more chained to our houses than we used to before, I was just writing down things that I was doing throughout the day, or just what was bothering me at all. And that's how I came up with a list of potential niches which I want to explore and potentially find partners there. And of course, I want to start with one, so we will not dilute our focus. So here's the list of couple of businesses that I was considering. So one was in the, believe it or not, skincare business, and that was inspired by my wife. Another one was in fitness niche. I'm working out with a very nice online gym. So fitness, definitely, we all understood the benefit of it. The list is long, but I will share just the most interesting ones. Coffee. Also, I'm drinking coffee like crazy. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Coffee seems to be always in demand here. Also, one of the suggestions from my friend was betting. People are improving their houses, and betting is an interesting category to be in because, well, we all sleep. And how my friend put it, there is no home in the world without betting in one way or another. I mean, we can debate, of course, the quality of the betting, but I think he's right. I mean, if you think about it, there are a lot of things that are varied from one household to another, but there will definitely be a bed sheet and a pillow in every household. And I will show you now the first steps that I'm taking to kind of evaluate which potential out of this list, for example, which potential niche might be the interesting one. And again, my idea here is based on the niches that I'm interested in, find partners in those niches, and then apply the AIM framework to reposition them within those niches. So let me just quickly share my screen again, and let's remove this slide. And to do this, all we need to do, we go to our favorite Google Trends. Well, I was married to this tool throughout the quarantine times. Google Trends is the perfect kind of explainer of what's going on in the market and what's in demand and what is not, especially during current times. So you just type Google Trends in the Google search and you will see it right away. But basically it reflects your kind of what the overall audience of the country that you select searches for. And so what are kind of the interests that go up and down. So let me take just one of the examples that I have mentioned. So let me say betting to just illustrate the point. So I usually take worldwide, because anyways we search in English, and if we are considering the online world, then we should not really limit ourselves to any certain category. Any certain country, because potentially we can sell wherever we want. And we just look at the trend. Okay, interesting. So betting as the category worldwide is a bit of on a decline, which is surprising. So what is interesting, that every July there is a spike. I wonder why that would be. Maybe people are too hot in their beds and they want a more comfy one. But looks like in July people are replacing their beds. But you see here in May 2020, so when the whole world was on the lockdown, betting category went up. So that kind of proves one of the assumptions that that people are improving their houses. However, now it goes down for some reason. And if we zoom into the last 30 days is too little, but 90 days. Well, yeah, so it reached its peak, and now it's going down again. So I think whoever wanted to upgrade their houses upgraded it. But I don't... however, we saw previously that in July we can expect the demand back up. We can also play around, so bad sheets, because we of course never know what exactly is the category. We see more or less same trend. So I would put it in a so-so category to be part of. The next one, and that's my favorite. To be honest, I researched it already. So the skincare. Skincare. If we take a trend all throughout all the time, we can see that there is just crazy demand, and now it's at the all-time high. Actually, it's all-time high. This is crazy. So once the whole world went into a lockdown, people still cared about how their skin looked like, which is a very interesting insight. So this is really interesting category to be in, because it's on the rise, and I mean even before Corona. So here, of course, was this interesting, and what is important to note is that even before Corona, this trend should be going up. And we see before March, it was already at that point at all-time high, and the Corona just accelerated. What's interesting about the COVID-related searches is for a lot of businesses, so let me show you, on the example of home workout. That was interesting one. So you see, this was an trending up topic for quite some time already. Again, even before Corona, it was steadily going up. Of course, in April it just skyrocketed because people were trying to keep themselves busy at homes. Now it of course is going down because, I mean, in some places gyms are reopening, some places reopened parks, but I don't think it will be back even to the pre-COVID times, because I mean, me personally, I'm not eager to go back to the gym. I really like these home workouts. And you see the graph down is not that steep. So I think it will end up at the higher level than we were before Corona. And I had one more just to show you, coffee. And again, so I was just listing down things that I'm using every day during the Corona times. And coffee, let's see what's going on with coffee. I mean, coffee is, as it is very generic term. But what about coffee delivery? So coffee delivery is up even before Corona again. I mean, Corona skyrocketed the trend, so people really wanted their coffee while on the lockdown. And let's see how well it goes down. Well, it goes down quite steadily, I would say. What about past 12 months? Yeah, so you see it went up starting in March. People were stocking up. It goes down, but again, it kind of ends somewhere midway. So here you have it, guys. I just wanted to share my thoughts about the businesses I'm looking to partner. If you have one of these businesses, coffee, bedding, skincare, fitness, feel free to message me and we can discuss how we can work together. And that would conclude our first Reposition Live episode. Let me know what you think. I want to improve based on your feedback. I see that we had quite a few viewers, which was nice, which is already more than I expected. I hope we will have more structure to it as we go on. Again, I plan to do it every Friday. If you have any topics you want me to cover, if you have any questions, feel free to PM me. And until the next time, take care, stay safe, and peace.